Alright, so the single most underrated support weapon in Helldivers 2 is the Stalwart. Against all factions, including the bots. I have ran solo Stalwart multiple times against all factions. It's basically the main gun I've been using on stream for the past week and a half. I have builds I'm going to be giving you guys to try out for all three factions. All right, I think I said that 3 times. Now, people who play Helldivers 2 either love the Stalwart because you stick it on max RPM, you get maximum number of voice lines per second, or you just say it's bad because it's only light penetration, or that it should even be a primary weapon. But after non-stop playing with the Stalwart on all fronts, in my opinion, it would by far be the best primary weapon in the game. And that's the power of the Stalwart. You can run the best primary weapon. It just costs your support slot. It actually has enough stagger to stagger all of these smaller mobs. Like hunters jumping at you through the air, it literally interrupts that. But it doesn't have that annoying, like, heavy stagger against the heavy devastators where they kind of pop upwards and cover their head on accident, actually allowing you to get quick, clean headshots and take them out. Now, the main reason that the Stalwart works is due to the 60-day plan. They actually buffed up enough primary, secondary, and even the thermite in the grenade slot that you can cover all of your anti-tank needs with. We've got stuff like the Purifier, Scorcher, Crossbow, Senator, Diligence Counter Sniper, and of course thermite in these loadouts. This empowers us to bring a ridiculously strong chaff clear support weapon, aka the best primary weapon in the game. On top of that, nearly every enemy, or every heavy enemy has a light pen or even medium pen weakness that we are able to take advantage of in our loadout. We don't need to bring recoilless rifle. Now, what I'm going to be covering is how I deal with each faction in depth. This is a full breakdown of everything so that you can use the Stalwart and you can actually start having more fun. Now, the Stalwart is a weapon that requires some tech as well as some practice. Clay actually shared this tech with me. I'll shout him out later once we get to it. But once you learn that tech, you will realize how fun it is because you virtually do not even need to aim to take out whole groups. Even a whole patrol of devastators I can take out while barely aiming, because we are actually relying on the quantity of bullets over precision. And it works super, super well. All right, that's enough intro. Let's dive into the first faction, which is the Squids, because I think a lot of you already enjoy using the Stalwart on this faction. They have the least amount of enemies. This will be the quickest breakdown for me. Our loadout is as follows: Diligence Counter Sniper, Senator, Incendiary Impacts. And then in our stratagem slots, we're using Strafing Run, Gatling Sentry, Ballistic Guard Dog Backpack, obviously the Stalwart, and for the armor, I'm using Medium Padded. You're also just going to see a trend in this video in general where I am wearing more defensive armor. I also always take the Vitality Booster, even in solo, no matter the faction, doesn't matter. And trust me, when I say I have 1,700 hours in this game, I am more comfortable nowadays in tankier armor sets, because it really sucks getting bursted down by a weak-ass enemy. And if you don't want to wear medium padded, use whatever you want. I don't care. That's my opinion. All right, so the Stalwart against the Squids is pretty simple. You can literally blast everything except for the Harvesters. Oftentimes, I just set up a turret, lay down next to it, and shoot legs, okay? The Stalwart's got a foot fetish on this faction. The quickest time to kill on Overseers is in their legs. Also, shooting their chests is very quick, but the melee Overseers will pick up their ballistic shield before you finish them off, so just aim for their legs if you're using the Stalwart on them. This is also just a 2-pronged strategy. We are prone so that our Gatling Sentry doesn't actually kill us on accident. And on top of that, we're kneecapping every enemy. And what's kind of cool is as you shoot the zombie legs, they fall to the ground, and then you basically automatically headshot them, finishing them off. Now, one other note from mobbing is that there is an overwhelming amount of zombies. In every Squid game I play, I get more kills than bugs. And both factions, I feel like I'm fighting the entire game. So there is a lot of enemies in the Squid lobbies. Throw Incendiary Impacts pretty liberally. Save one. I'll mention that in a second. Luckily, there's generally a lot of supplies around the map. You can find grenade packs pretty much just randomly at POIs. They're also usually at the main objectives. They're always at the flag objectives. I'm not sure about the others, but I feel like I see grenade packs all the time. Now, one other super notable thing about the melee Overseers is these guys can absolutely bully you if you let them. So don't let them. Punch them. Get used to your melee button because I'm going to be mentioning it a lot in this video. Whoever punches first wins. And make sure you pull out your Senator, before you punch them because it one-taps all Overseers in the head. Punching a melee Overseer and then one-tapping him with the Senator immediately is an absolutely great feeling, trust me. Now, Jetpack Overseers are simple. Pick a body part, whether it's the chest, the leg, or the backpack, and just blast. The chest is probably the slowest, but it's even still only takes like 2 seconds from the Stalwart. It kills them fast no matter what. So the only important thing is how are we going to deal with Harvesters, and the absolute best primary weapon for this, in my opinion, is the Diligence Counter Sniper, combined, again, with our Senator. Now, the Diligence Counter Sniper technically has a 1 mag on the Harvesters, if my math is correct, but it can be hard to land all these shots with some of the recoil and they kind of wobble around a bit. So what I do is I blast down their shield with my Stalwart, I empty a mag of Diligence Counter Sniper into one of their leg joints, and if they're not dead at that point, I just swap to the Senator and finish them off. It's worked every time for me. I've even tested Purifier against Harvesters a lot. I think Diligence Counter Sniper and Senator is the best for killing Harvesters if you're not bringing a support weapon for them. All right, that's it for the squids, except I also just want to be honest with you guys in this video, okay? I think the medium machine gun is the best gun for this faction because not only can it blast everything that the Stalwart can, it can also just blast the Harvesters. However, the Stalwart has higher RPM, more voice lines per second, more ammo in the magazine, more ammo total, mobile reloads, and it's more fun. I'm just saying that the Stalwart is extremely underrated, given that people are saying it sucks, and I'm not saying it's necessarily the best, but it is 100% viable against all factions. And the faction that none of you are expecting the Stalwart to work against is the bots. Unless you watch my streams whenever I go live right here on this YouTube channel. Always gotta self-plug. I have been non-stop using the Stalwart on the bots for almost a week straight. I do solo runs at the starts of my streams to show people this can be done solo, and then when people hop in for viewer games, mainly I use the Stalwart. Of course, I switch it up here and there though. And when I get viewers in my squad, a lot of games I have the most kills because I'm just blasting all the mobs. So first we will talk about the enemies that the Stalwart deals with, and then I will tell you guys how I deal with Hulks, tanks, factory striders, gunships, cannon turrets, and of course the Cringe command bunker turrets. And Cringe command bunker turrets are such a problem. I think Senator and Strafing Run is required for this loadout. Senator kills these in 10 shots. It's fine in a pinch. Obviously it's not the best, but I do it every game, so it's definitely viable. And for what it's worth, you can also you can also thermite these command bunker turrets. Honestly, I really only have a problem with command bunker turrets when I end up going to that mega base that has like 15 of them inside. I still usually clear that mega base, even in solo runs with this loadout, but I'm not gonna lie, that mega base is a pain in the ass. Even if I have a recoilless or a railgun, that mega base is still annoying, and I think most of you guys can agree, so you can't blame me when I say it's a pain in the ass, even with this loadout. All right, so first up, the entire loadout, we're using the Purifier, the Senator, and Thermite. The Stratagems are Strafing Run, Precision Strike, Supply Pack, of course the Stalwart. Now, the armor I wear is the Enforcer, which is the 129 armor rating, explosive resistance. This is classed as medium armor. I think that this is the most defensive, best armor in the game because it's just not as slow as heavy, but you get better breakpoints than medium just because it has 29 more armor rating. No matter what you choose, if you're a heavy armor enjoyer, go for it. The point is, we have a supply pack with tons of stims, so as long as we don't get one-shotted, we won't actually die. Now, one comment I've gotten in a lot of my bot games is people commenting that bots have aimbot against them, but they constantly miss shots against me. Now, the only way I can make sense of this is the aim protocol, which is a tooltip within game. Moi XH03 showcased this, where he was showing that when you shoot towards the bots, they actually have less accuracy. And like I said, as long as we don't get one shot, we have plenty of stims to keep ourselves at full health. No, the bots are not going to miss every shot. They're still going to hit you, but they have less accuracy, so they're hitting less shots. All right, first up is Berserkers. This one is easy. Either pick the face or pick the stomach and rip through them. Just try not to spread your shots throughout the body. Always pick one enemy body part that is fatal towards that enemy and blast it down. Next, we have Rocket Striders, and the Stalwart makes light work of these. You have to be a bit more precise compared to some of the other enemies. But basically, a few patches ago, they fixed the hitbox on the rockets, and the rockets are only light armor. You can now just shoot the rockets. That's not an ironic thing to say anymore. That is the only light pen spot on this enemy. They explode instantly, also dealing 400 damage to any enemies next to them, also staggering any enemies next to them. And there is one small caveat here. If a rocket strider happens to shoot all its rockets, it loses this hitbox. So if that's the case, it's not really a threat anymore, but just swap to your Senator. It's a 2-shot to the nuts. All right, now next up is Devastators. And this is the enemy that is extremely fun to gun down with a Stalwart, and it is what has me addicted to it. Now, Claysthetics taught me the technology, which is learning the recoil pattern of the Stalwart, and we get to use quantity of bullets rather than quality and precision. So go check out Claysthetics. He puts out really high quality guides for this game. We spoke. He said he has a Stalwart video coming out eventually, maybe sometime next week. But he also just has many other great guides for this game that will up the level of your gameplay. So I will put his channel in the description. All right, so with Devastators, this is the strategy. You actually want to kind of aim at that line on their chest and let the recoil of the Stalwart carry it upwards into those headshots. Once you get the hang of this, you will realize how strong the weapon feels. It only requires 2 headshots to kill this enemy with the Stalwart. Now, additionally, sometimes Devastators can kind of have the high ground on you, in which case, just aim for a leg. The Stalwart will absolutely rip through their legs or their pelvis for what it's worth. Now, sometimes when there's a bunch of heavy Devastators and you're not ready to get some headshots, shoot off their guns. A heavy Devastator is not a threat at all if he's missing his Gatling gun. The Stalwart rips through their guns very, very quickly. And it's honestly that simple. I would love to talk more in this section because learning the recoil control with the Stalwart to kind of aim a bit below your actual target and then hurling bullets in that direction is like extremely fun. It's just satisfying once you start headshotting Devastators nonstop. It's extremely effective, but it really is that simple. So onto the heavies and how we deal with them. Gunships, that's a simple one. It is 3 charge shots with the Purifier or 1 charge shot and then just spam it down from there. Tanks are also simple. It's just 1 thermite per tank. It's as simple as that, except for the Barrager tanks, which they changed the missile rack on the Barrager tank, and it now has no armor on it. You can actually spam this tank with the Stalwart, and it dies in just a few seconds. It is awesome. Now, I am using the supply pack. I'm normally never out of thermite, but if you happen to be out of thermite, you can land a precision strike on a tank. However, keep in mind if it's not a direct hit, it'll usually leave it on fire, and then you can finish it off with a strafing run. All right, so how do we deal with factory striders in this build? And it is simple. I throw the entire kitchen sink at it. I pretty much save my precision strike for factory striders or detector towers for what it's worth. I send at least 1 eagle strafing run towards its faceplate because it always cracks it. And then I just start chucking thermite at it until it's dead, trying to land them all in the same spot. Again, keep in mind, enemies in this game, you want to choose 1 body part and kind of focus that. So it's the same deal with thermites. If you land a thermite on a factory strider's butt, throw more thermites on its butt because it'll crack its armor, it'll reveal its main health, and then it'll kind of kill it from there. All right, so now on to Hulks. This enemy is solved fairly easily with the Senator. I will probably be giving a masterclass video on kiting the Hulks, making them a lot more trivial to deal with in a different video that I plan to make meleeing the bots with the stun lance, so look out for that. But this loadout uses the Senator, and it does only take 3 shots for a headshot. However, it can be hard to land those headshots because the Senator does have a bit of spread, so I usually just crouch down for a steady shot and then spam all 6 until it dies. Now, keep in mind, if you happen to see like 4 or 5 Hulks, okay, now start chucking thermite. I usually try not to spam too much thermite since I am also using them for tanks, I'm using them for fabricators. I don't want to just churn through my entire supply pack, so I do use my Senator when a situation calls for it, but if there's a bunch of Hulks, throw thermite. All right, and now finally for those cringe command bunker turrets, these are primarily in the mega base as well as the command bunker mission. Now, specifically on the command bunker mission, you actually don't need to deal with them at all. What I do is I go hide behind a hill, and thermite will actually kill the command bunkers, complete the mission objective for you. I think it's about 3, but the thing is I'm usually tossing them blind up over the hill until it dies. I think it's only about 3. Okay, so for actual command bunker turrets, 10 Senator shots, 1 eagle strafing run, 1 thermite. Those are our 3 ways to deal with them. We do basically have all the tools to deal with these, but in the mega base where there's like 15 of them, that's a pain in the ass. It'll simply take practice inside of that specific base layout, and I do it, so I bet that you can too. All right, so now it's time for the bugs. I think most people expect the Stalwart to get some usage on this faction. However, the bugs do constantly spam heavy and even sometimes medium armor at you. Now, for what it's worth, on the Bile artillery seed, you actually, I'm just not going to recommend the Stalwart at all on that seed because it spams so many bile spewers and they are all basically medium armor. Yes, you can spam the Stalwart at their butt, but it doesn't really actually kill them too quickly. And the amount of them, I just think it's way better to bring the medium machine gun. So what missions can bile artillery spawn on? They're pretty much always on nuke missions. They can, like half the time, I think, be on the oil missions. And then rarely they are on the SSSD missions. And they can also spawn inside of Blitz missions. Now the oil and SSSD missions have a lower chance to spawn bile spewers, especially the SSSD one I've noticed is like really, really low. But, you know, don't risk it. Just bring the medium machine gun. You really don't want to bring the Stalwart to a bile spewer seed. This is pretty much the only seed in the game that just does not feel good at all for the Stalwart. All right, so first up for the loadout, I have a slightly different loadout for solo and squads against the bugs. So first of all, we're using the Scorcher, the grenade pistol, and gas grenades in solo. I'll talk about the squads loadout second. I'm mainly going to be focusing on the solo loadout because I know that this loadout will also work in squads. But I think you can use a slightly comfier loadout in squad, so we'll just talk about that in a second. For the stratagems for the solo loadout, I'm using Supply Pack, Orbital Gatling Barrage, and 500 kg, and obviously the Stalwart. Now, first of all, I'm using the Scorcher because I think it is by far the quickest heavy killer for this faction, even compared to the Purifier. The Purifier can kill heavies with better ammo efficiency, but the Scorcher simply has faster fire rate and spams more damage a lot quicker. Now in our solo loadout with Supply Pack, we don't really have to worry about the Scorcher's ammo issues. Basically, the Scorcher 1 mags charger butts, so you just have to dodge 1 charger charge, turn around, and then you 1 mag it. And it can also kill Bile Titans in about 2.5 magazines. All right, now for squads, we are using the Purifier, the grenade pistol, and thermite. And for our stratagems, we're using the ballistic guard dog instead of the supply pack, and we are using gas strike instead of orbital Gatling barrage. Now, this is a more comfortable loadout. It's just in solo fighting the entire map nonstop. I found that having more sustain with the supply pack is necessary over the comfort of having a ballistic guard dog. But again, for solo runs, I think sustain is more important and being able to actually sustain a longer, more drawn out fight. And in the squad loadout, we're swapping in gas strike. That way we can still have a lot of crowd control. Okay, so for everything I'm talking about, I'm going to mainly focus on the solo loadout because the same kind of applies for the squad loadout. I think you could figure that one out. Now for the armor, I really like medium padded, or again, you could run the 129 explosive resist. Now, mainly this is if you're running supply pack version, because it's, again, if it's the thing where if an enemy doesn't one-shot you and you are able to stim, then you won't die. We have Stalwart as well as tons of gas to deal with a ton of mobs. If you're not using supply pack, maybe you want to run a little bit faster and actually just create distance between enemies. All right, first up is some of the mobs. Hunters, warriors, even the alpha commanders. Simply spam the Stalwart at them. What's great is the Stalwart actually staggers the hunters and the warriors, so you can kind of stand your ground and mow them down against them. And obviously the moment I see an alpha commander, I spam its head. I want to kill it instantly. If they're running away, I swap over to the Scorcher because it is maybe half a mag or 3/4 of a mag to spam them in the body with the Scorcher. And the main tip here with the alpha commanders is you definitely want to get used to using your melee button. The Stalwart does not stagger alpha commanders at all, so once their heads are off, they will do that death charge at you like a freaking headless chicken. And if you simply throw in a well-timed melee strike or two after their head is off, then they kind of just fall over after that. Now, the main thing while mobbing is I am very liberal with my gas grenades. There are so many bugs solo that I use distractions, such as gas grenades, to be able to do objectives such as the geological survey, or confuse enemies. That way I can focus like a charger. Like if there's a charger and a bunch of mobs, I gas, and then that way I can focus on the charger. or I gas, and that way I take out a bunch of the mobs, and then I can deal with the charger. So why don't we talk about chargers first? It's like I said, the Scorcher one mags their butts, and luckily I think it's actually like 3/4 of a mag, because I do miss a few shots sometimes, but they're always dead in one magazine as long as I get that whole magazine out before they turn around. So how do we put ourselves in the situation to do that? Well, first of all, if there's a ton of mobs, again, throw a gas grenade. Distract the mobs so that you're able to kite the charger. Now, kiting chargers is simple if you know how they work, and even at that point, they can still just show up and ram you down. It is what it is. Basically, chargers track you until they're very close up to you, so you basically need to juke them. Sometimes I will even stand still until they're like really, really close to me, like literally in range. You don't need to juke them at the literal last second, but like the last like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Like they will literally track you. You don't want to try to turn too early, and that's when they turn really fast. You want to kind of like maybe take a step one way and then juke them, okay? Just juke them. That's what makes the most sense in my opinion. And then as soon as they're behind you, spin around, one mag them with your Scorcher, and that's how you take them out. All right, so on to Impalers, because this is the #1 threat that the bugs have by far. I actually use the Stalwart for this instead of the Scorcher, because the Stalwart kills these really, really fast, surprisingly. Now, what I like to do is I'll shoot 1 or 2 bullets at them to kind of bait them into sticking their tentacles in the floor, and then I start running and kind of diving towards them. That way the tentacles don't hit me, and I shoot their exposed face. Now, the main thing with Impalers is you need to shoot the upper part of their head, like kind of like their forehead almost, or like the exposed flesh that doesn't have any of those moles on it. Don't shoot the tentacles, okay? There was a Claysthetics video yesterday that pointed this out. I'll also just link that down below because I like clay. Now, other times when there is too much going on, you need to kill the Impaler. Use a 500 kg if you can't get a clear shot on them. Just try to land it in front of them so that it actually kills them rather than ripping off armor. All right, so now for Bile Titans, and this is a simple 500 kg. This is my main target for 500 kgs. Now, some people say that the 500 kg won't kill a Bile Titan a lot of the time, and that's because it needs to get directly blasted by the explosion. So treat your 500 kg like a precision strike. Bait it into an attack, wait till it's spewing, or lead it into the 500 kg. And you also want the 500 to land kind of directly and explode under its butt area. That's when I notice that it dies more consistently, when it's a little bit in front of it. Now, if your 500 is on cooldown, which does happen to me in like pretty much every solo game, I do have to kill them with the Scorcher. I sort of kite them around. Usually the Bile Titan is like the last enemy I kill. Sometimes I'll shoot its sack out before I'm able to finish it off. But basically it's about 2.5 full magazines of the Scorcher. So if you miss any shots, it'll take you longer than that. For what it's worth, the Stalwart can technically kill it in a mag and a half if you kill all its shot, if you hit all your shots. So if you land like 2 full Scorcher magazines into a Bile Titan butt, you can finish it off with the Stalwart from there. But generally, I just use the Scorcher, and that's just how I do it. And then finally, the last enemy that really means anything with this faction is the Stalker. You just need to be aware of them. They do make really obvious sounds before they engage you now, so as long as you're paying attention, it shouldn't be hard to hear them ahead of time. We don't have any stagger weapons, so you just need to know that they're coming. You just need to be listening for any time a Stalker can show up. As long as you're aware, you will kill them before they ever get to you. The Scorcher, less than 1 mags them anywhere to the body, and the Stalwart, if you aim it at their head, you will land enough bullets past their arms, because they kind of block their head with their arms a little bit, but just blast them in the head with either the Scorcher or the Stalwart. And as long as you see them ahead of time, both your guns have enough DPS to kill them before they get to you. And that's it. Let me know if you'll be trying out these Stalwart loadouts. It's quickly become my favorite support weapon. Just recently, I'm sure I'll switch to something else. Now, I hope this video at least taught you how to play better, even if you aren't using the Stalwart, because generally your playstyle and learning how to counter each enemy in a particular situation can help you bring almost any weapon or any loadout in the game. But that's going to be it for this one. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, and comment down below how much you love the max RPM Stalwart. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.